Good evening. Beverly Marshall here, along with my grandson, Zaire Tate. Oh, I've had a really busy weekend, and starting off with Monday and Tuesday, going back to the same problems that I had the beginning of August. First, let me tell you, I attended the march in Washington Saturday. It was really beautiful. It was all day and I did a lot of walking, but I am really happy that I went to celebrate 60 years. I was there 60 years ago, and this is my second time. So I'll put that to the side, and I want to start with the milk. Being that since my grandson has been on the inshore, he's gained a few pounds, and he's getting kind of chubby. So I spoke to his doctor, and I have to make an appointment for him to go see him. They have Nutrient 1.5 and Nutrient 2.0. So I'm going to see about one of those for him. But the inshore, I think it's putting on weight for him. And right now, I cannot afford for him to get heavy because we have to lift him and carry him, and I can't do that. Neither can his nurse. But I'm still purchasing the milk. No one has called me yet to give me any advice or to help me out. And when I say help me out, I'm not talking about financially. I'm talking about giving me information, about different milk or different companies, or a good vendor that can handle his prescriptions for his milk and his respiratory. That's the type of help that I need. If you know of a good vendor, right now the Osmolite is on the back order, the Nutrient is on back order, and I'm really having a problem with the Ensure Plus. They have different types of Ensure, but some of the drugstores are running out of the Ensure Plus. So I have to do with what I have until I can do better. But my concentration now is trying to change his formula because my grandson cannot gain a lot of weight. It's going to be heavy on his heart and heavy on me and his nerves. So I really want to keep him at least 120. Now he's 136 and he's going up. His pants is getting a little tight and his chest feels like a little jelly. So I really have to switch up on this Ensure. Now the second thing I want to talk about is transportation. I'm wondering how many of you, if you have a car, if you don't have a car, if you're using transportation. First it was Logistic, now is Motif, or whatever they want to call it. Both of them have, both of the companies, the same people are working, but they have such terrible attitudes. I called today for transportation for my grandson to go to his orthopedic doctor, and they said that I have to call 48 hours in advance. So I said, okay, but he needs to see his doctor. Even if it's not 48 hours, they should be able to do something. I said, you're taking care of children and adults with medical problems. So you shouldn't be putting a time limit of 48 hours of to call in order to get service for them to go see a doctor. So she says, well, if it's an emergency, I said, yes, it is. So we went he was going to see his orthopedic doctor. And I said, and they might later on do a procedure. So she says, well, what type of procedure? I said, number one, I'm not a doctor. I said, number two, we're not going to know that until he goes to see his doctor, his orthopedic doctor. So she says, well, what's the address? I gave her the address. I gave her the name of the doctor. So she says, well, I have to call to verify that he has an appointment. I have to call to verify that. I said, fine. So she said, do you have the telephone number? I gave her the telephone number. So this is what we caregivers and parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, relatives, this is some of the things that we go through. Now, she said that she was going to call, so she put me on hold. I'm holding. Then she comes back to the phone, and she hangs up. So I called back to Motive, which used to be Logistic Care, and I had to speak to AI, a machine, for 10 minutes before I can get to a live individual. So another woman, she picked up the phone, and I spoke to her. I told her about what had happened. So she went on the computer. She said, she canceled the appointment. I said, canceled the appointment? Why? She said, because she called and no one answered. It was an answering machine. I said, so why didn't she leave a message? Or she didn't. She just canceled the appointment. I said, so this is what you guys do? You care less about the patients? That's even if they have a doctor's appointment, you just cancel whenever you want to, and you can't get transportation. I said, let me tell you something. I said, I'm going to talk about you tonight. I want you to know. I'm going to talk about you and your friend. So I'm putting them on notice, and I'm also putting Motif, the company, which used to be Logistics, is now Motif or Motive. I don't have a clue. But they still have the same nasty attitude. They care less about humans. I don't have a clue why they're sitting behind a desk and what they're doing, but it's a shame for a company to hire people that care less about how they got the job. They got the job to take care of people with medical problems. And if you have a medical problem, if you're in a wheelchair, how else are you going to get to the doctors? Especially if you don't walk. How are you going to get there? So I hope they're listening to this. I hope someone called the company to let them know that I'm talking about them. They need to do a better job. They are getting money from the state of New Jersey. The corporate office, they're getting a lot of money from the state of New Jersey. And I'm putting this out there also for the state of New Jersey. You need to start taking care of the kids that are having medical problems. You just can't sit back and let someone else do your work. But you need to do a better job. And me as a grandmother or a mother or a great-grandmother, we shouldn't have to be on the phone arguing about trying to get medical transportation for our loved one. You're paying them to do a job. And you need to check up on them to find out why they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. That's for you, Motive, and that's also for you, the state of New Jersey. The second I want to talk about are how many of you are having problems with diapers. If you have a certain insurance, or if you have Horizon, we are all getting our diapers from Medline. Now, besides me having a problem with getting my grandson milk, now I'm having a problem getting his diapers. I called Medline and I had asked him, I said, my grandson didn't receive his diapers for this month. So the individual that I was speaking to, they said, he didn't get his diapers because we faxed the doctor and to fill out the forms, the new forms for the following year, and they never got back to us. I said, so why didn't you call me? Well, we're not supposed to call you. I said, what do you mean you're not supposed to call me? I said, so you're sitting there, and here is the 28th, and he's running out of diapers, and you couldn't take the time to call me to find out if there was another number that you can call to contact the doctor to get verification? So he says, well, and then I said to him, I says, well, why didn't you call his insurance? He says, well, that's not our job to call the insurance because they're not the ones that's going to verify. I said, why not? They're the ones paying the bill. They know exactly how many diapers that he gets monthly. So I said, listen, I said, sir, I know that I have a little slight attitude. I've ran into problems with another company dealing with AI and the humans. I said, so if I sound a little snappy, I said, I'm not even going to say to you, accept my apology. I said, because I have 3 packs of diapers. And if he doesn't get his diapers, then I will be buying diapers the same way I'm buying his milk because of human errors. So he says, well, we faxed it and no one answered. I said, but did you call? He says, well, I have one number. I said, well, what number do you have? So he gave his number. I said, that could be the doctor's private number. I said, did you call the main number? I gave him the main number. I said, sir, when you call, ask for, I said, hit number 4, and that would be the nurse's station. I said, and ask for this nurse, which is Zair's doctor's nurse that handles a lot of the paperwork. I said, and ask for her and talk to her. I said, and please call me back to let me know that you got through. So he calls me back and he said, Miss Marshall, no one answered, so I left a message. I said, okay. I said, did you leave a message for his doctor or the second doctor? He said, for both. I said, okay. I said, I'll tell you what. I'm going to call and leave a message. Plus, I'm going to go on my chart and leave another message. They will get that quicker. So that's what I did. I went and I sent a message to them about the letter that the verification that Medline has sent out to verify about Zair's diapers and how many diapers he get for the month. And so I received another notice, email from the doctor's office, and they said, Miss Marshall, we did the paperwork and it was sent back to Medline. What had happened is they had the wrong fax number. But I contacted them, we got the paperwork, I gave him the right number, and he should be getting his diapers. That's my deliver for 2 days, Monday and Tuesday. And we shouldn't have to be going through this. Every day is something different. Now, even down to his prescriptions, medication that he gets monthly. There was a time where they were delivering his medication on time. Now, I have to call. I have to call to remind them of his medication. So they tell me, oh, we have to get information from the doctor. because the prescription ran out. But there was a time when the prescription ran out, they automatically called to renew the prescription. Now they're not even doing that. So I not only have to keep up with the pharmacist and my grandson's prescriptions, which he has 2 medications that they haven't sent yet because they had to get a new letter from his pulmonologist. And that's his Advair, which he's supposed to take every day. He hasn't had his Advair in 2 days. I have to remind them of that. I have to remind them when the medication that goes down to like 1 or 2 tablets, I have to remind them to renew and send his medication. And this is really exhausting. It takes a lot of time, unnecessary time, because I am doing my job of taking care of my grandson. I'm doing their job with the prescriptions, with his diapers, with his milk and transportation. I mean, who is actually going to help us? Everybody is getting paid. We're not getting paid. This is what we do, taking care of our loved ones. But you're being paid for a job that you're not even doing. And all you have to do is sit behind a desk and use your little fingers to call. And you're even having a problem to do that. And then you're leaving that up to the caregiver. The one that's here, that's doing everything else, and then they have to remember to keep calling you, to remind you to send diapers, to remind you to send milk, to remind you to send prescriptions. I feel like I'm in another time zone. I feel like I shouldn't be here. Because everything is going backwards. And I don't understand. No one is going forward. No one wants to take responsibility. No one. Everybody is sitting back. There's nothing else right now that I can say. I am talked out. I'm still peeved about transportation. Now I have to call a cab to take him to the doctor's tomorrow morning, which to have to take him to East Brunswick, the nurse and that means that we have to get him out to the cab, take him out of his wheelchair, get him in the cab, fold up his wheelchair and put it in the trunk, and then when we get to the doctor's office, we have to do that again. And then coming out of the doctor's office, we have to do that again. And then it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not right. So if anyone out there is listening, please do the same thing I'm doing with logistic and motive care. Try to speak to a CEO that's sitting up there making big dollars for doing nothing and hiring a bunch of imbeciles that's doing nothing. Again, I want to close out this evening with my favorite saying of Maya Angelou. Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. Good night.